Everton at the moment, 16th in the Premier League on 15 points. Nottingham Forest are 18th, just 1 point worse off on 14 points. Things continually going from bad to worse for Everton and Frank Lampard. His win ratio at the moment is now 30%. Rafa Benitez was 31%, nearly 32% actually. It's the worst Everton, the worst Everton have been since David Moyes was there. I just wonder if anyone wants him to stay. I hear a lot of people just from the audio that we've been playing about, the players should be ashamed of themselves. I understand that. I've never played at the highest level you have. But all I'll say is, as a football fan, from years and years and years and years of watching football, and I go back to my own club under Ralph Rangnick, right? I watch Match of the Day and I see these players, right? Established players, established internationals, not doing what they should be doing, not playing for the manager. I saw it at the end of Solskjaer's tenure there at Man United as well. I've seen it in many, if not all clubs, at the end when a manager's not getting it out of his players and the players aren't playing for him. My view is, ultimately, it's the manager's responsibility to manage and get the best out of the players. If for whatever reason they are not doing as they're told, if they're not pulling their weight, if they're not putting a shift in, it's the manager's fault. The flip side of that is if all of a sudden he gets them winning, right, and he gets them to top 10 and top 8 and European football, Frank Lampard is the first person we pat on the back and go, wow, what a great manager. It's all the buck stops with the manager. It always does, and it always will. If they're not playing, it's because he can't get them to play for whatever reason.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand what you mean, and it's proven over many, many years, many different clubs, many different managers, that tends to be the case. I just feel it's not been long enough yet for Frank Lampard. And some of the things, I can only talk about last night and what I see in the game last night. Some of the things that happened, you can't put it down to his fault. Like, Conor Cody doesn't defend like that. He doesn't defend like that at Wolves, and he hasn't in previous games that I've seen for Everton. Tarkowski, the same, never defended like that for Burnley. Was poor. Idrissa Gueye, the pass, I think it was Gueye, the pass that for the fourth goal, that's not Frank Lampard's fault. Something is going on.
The pass isn't, but the defending is.
No, not really.
Oh,
no,
it is. It is.
Frank Lampard obviously takes training, he sees what happens. There's no way none of those defenders defend like that in training. No, otherwise, they wouldn't be in the team.
But I'll use Man United because they're my own side, right? Yeah. The way that all those players played under Ralph, right, was appalling, right? He wasn't coaching them, right? He wasn't making them better. Now Ralph Rangnick is making the same players, better players. He's getting more out of them. He's telling them, Ten Hag, sorry. He's getting more out of them. He's telling them how to play, how he wants them to play, his style of football, what they should do when they're defending, attacking. It's all down to the manager's instructions. Yeah,
you can't underestimate confidence in football as well. And Everton players, from what I saw last night, have zero confidence. Now, Frank Lampard's not an academy manager. He's not. And Conor Cody, Tarkowski, Idrissa Gueye, as I mentioned, Mykolenko, Calvert-Lewin, these are not academy players. They're not really going to improve that much from what they are now. Like I said, Conor Cody, fantastic at Wolves. Been good for Everton as well, apart from what I saw of the goals last night, same as Tarkowski. Frank Lampard can't really improve those. He can improve them as a team. And this is what I say, when he's watching training, none of these players are defending like that. If he's setting up an attack v defence in training, there's no way those four that played at the back defended that way in training. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the team.
But if you look at Unai Emery since he's come in for Aston Villa, right? I think they've won 3 of the last 4.
Yep.
Okay. He's an experienced manager. Yeah. Right. He's been in the game a long time. He's managed before in the Premier League. He knows how to get the best out of an 11. Yeah. Right. If you put someone like Unai Emery in that hot seat at Everton, right, you're going to get over the next 3 or 4 weeks. Yep. You're going to get a better Everton performance from the goalkeeper all the way to Calvert-Lewin up top. You're going to get a better 1 to 11 performance than you are with a manager who doesn't know how to do that. I mean, that's just simple football science, right?
Yeah, of course. Potentially, you're going to get a new manager bounce, of course. It depends who they would bring in.
Not necessarily a new manager, a manager that knows what he's doing. Frank Lampard's never, ever improved a side, ever. He took Chelsea from 4th to 4th, Derby from 6th to 6th, and Everton are in danger of going down.
Derby improved players, I guess. You can say he improved players.
They took a lot of loan players on.
The ones that come from loan, the younger players. I don't know what's going to happen with Frank Lampard. I think if Everton are going to pull the plug on this appointment, it has to be done now, of course, because they need to get someone in place, get their own team. Do I think the players will have I just mentioned it, a new manager bounce and go on a winning streak? I don't think they will. I think the players are letting themselves down at the moment for whatever reason. I've been there. I've been in relegation battles where no matter what happens, I go out there, I train well, I know I'm training well, I go onto the pitch and I can't perform for some reason, whether it's mentality, whether you're nervous because of the crowd, whether you're nervous for picking up results. And I've been in teams where the team can't do that. And for some reason, this is where Everton are. And you mentioned it before, since David Moyes, they've been like this for a long, long time. They've been stagnating in the Premier League. And I've spoken to Everton supporters as of you, and they can't figure out what's going on. I think it will still be 50-50 in terms of, do they want Frank Lampard to stay, see out this season, see out the transfer window, see if he can turn it around, or do they just pull the plug now and see who they can get in?
Let's go to the phone lines. 03717223344. Dave's an Everton fan. Hello, Dave.
Afternoon. I won't wish you Happy New Year because that's well gone.
Okay, that's fine. How are you feeling as an Everton fan at the moment? Did you go last night?
Well, ambivalent. I think it's done and dusted. I think they're going down. And listen, I've been on a few times with you, Andy, and I know you're not a Frank Lampard fan, and we've had this debate before. But it's quite telling that the fans have turned on the board. They haven't turned on Frank Lampard. There was no sack Frank chance last night. And last season it was Benitez out. Before him, it was Allardyce out. It's all on the board. You say I've listened to your pundits talking, saying he's got his own players in. Has he? And the defence isn't our problem. We've conceded 24 goals. 4 of them were last night. We've conceded 4 more than Man United this season. The problem is going forward. We've only scored 14 in 18 games. Now, we weren't good enough last season. We stayed up by the skins of our teeth. You can't go and sell your best player in Richarlison and replace him with Neil Maupay, who has never made double figures in his career, and Dwight McNeil, who doesn't actually look like a footballer most of the time. The mismanagement of the club has come from years and years. There's been no money to spend.
Dave, let me ask you, right? Here, when you say I'm not a Frank Lampard fan, I think that's unkind. What I don't think Frank Lampard is a good enough manager to take Everton back to where I think Everton should be. As a kid, I saw Everton in the 80s. They were kings of Europe. They were, old First Division champions, and they'd, that team with Adrian Heath and Andy Gray and Kevin Ratcliffe and Sheedy and so on. I remember that Everton side. I don't see that Frank Lampard is the man to take Everton into the top 10 and push on from there.
Listen, the jury's completely out on that, and I'm not going to come on and say I'm a massive Frank Lampard fan. But my point is, we're sitting there talking to other Evertonians on the ground around me last night. You could have the best combination of Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, the brains of Jose Mourinho, the spirits of Arsene Wenger in charge of this group of players, and they wouldn't do any better. You've got
I don't know, Dave.
You wouldn't. Michellenko, functional at best. You've got pretty much zero pace in the team. Garner should never have been brought back. They need a striker. They need players who can score goals. And at the moment, they got exposed last night by a pedestrian midfield. And genuinely, I don't see a way out of this. So the reason for me not sacking Lampard is I don't think we could do any better. The only things you can really pin on Frank Lampard for me, if you can blame him for this, are the signings of Maupay and McNeil. But how hamstrung have we been with the finances because of the mismanagement? Mr. Mashiri seems to have lost a little bit of interest. The board needs to take the responsibility. And at the end of the day, if it's to be believed, because of the FFP, we can't actually go out and spend money, even if we wanted to or had it, because the Premier League decide on what we're allowed to spend.
Dave, let me ask you, I've got to let you go in a minute, but I enjoy speaking to you. But let me just ask you this quick question. Are you telling me you don't think there's another manager on the planet that will get more of a tune out of this group of players than Lampard is currently getting?
No, because the cowards, half of them.
Okay, all right. You think you'll go down?
Absolutely. I think, and do you know what? Last season, we had the spirit and we had the fight and we had the flares and the fans outside the ground cheering them on. This season, Evertonians aren't stupid. We're sat there watching it thinking this is the year.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay, great, cool. Thank you for that, Dave.